here's Joe Cristiano.
Good evening, everyone. Joe Cristiano here. Thank you for joining us at Liberty Talk Radio. And with us, we have my co-host, Sally.
Hey,
Sally?
Joe. How are you?
Oh, I'm not
know
too
what?
well.
You look a lot like a racehorse.
A racehorse?
At the starting gate.
Oh,
You
yeah.
Italian stallion. I think you've got something on your mind, don't you?
I do. It's, something, when something drives you nuts, something and you can't get out of your mind, you sleep on it, you eat with it, people are talking with you and you're staring at them. You're not listening to a word they're saying because it's driving you crazy.
That's
all
what you
week,
look like.
Yeah, all week, what have we heard? We heard, about the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, right? And people are talking about parts of the act, and they're very. Mark Levin did a great job. In fact, many of them, Jerry, do a fantastic job of really breaking it down. Peter Schiff does a fantastic job, on one of his YouTubes. And they really break it down. There were people doing constitutional breakdowns. Great jobs. My problem is,
What?
I'm so simple-minded. I mean, I just don't have the brain matter these guys have. Me, when I see the Affordable Care Act, I can't get past the first word.
And the word is?
Affordable. I can't. I cannot get past it. I can't. Every time I go, can't be.
Really?
I said, first of all, the first word is not the. The is a definite, what they call a definite article. The first real word is affordable. See, people asking, well, what do you mean it's the Affordable Care? I said, all right, let me change things a bit. All right, I have an industrial health testing company. That means we have trucks and technicians that go to companies that require hearing testing, respiratory testing, fit testing for respirators, all that stuff, all that industrial health stuff, vision screening, drug testing, all that stuff, right? And we send people out there. Now, what if the government came to me and said, Joe, we passed the Affordable Occupational Health Testing Act, right? From now on, you have to make your services affordable to all your clients. Just to get the logic, I go, how do you do that? I go, well, okay. We're down to bare bones, and believe me, we are. It's a high-volume business. It's a high-risk business. A lot of insurance, and you can imagine everything we have to go through, and regulations. We comply with everything, and what's ever left over is profit, and there's very, very little in the thing. And most people don't stay this way. We're one of the few that's been around for decades. Everybody else, after 2 or 3 years, says, sounded good, thought I was going to make a lot of money, and they get out of it really quickly because they realize how much work it is and really the return. You do better being a greeter at Walmart, net, with everything. I'm not kidding you. All right, so I said, okay, I'll make this affordable. So a client comes to me and says, hey, Joe, I can't afford your services, but I need to have this testing done according to OSHA regulation, blah, blah, blah. What do? I have to I have to give it to him, right? The government says, I have to provide it. It's got to be affordable. And I said, how much can you pay me? He says, I can pay you $50. I said, it's a $1,000 job. He said, that's all I got is $50. So now I charge him $50. What happens to my company? It's already really thin.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Is right. And there's another word that goes with the O. It's a very common word that goes with it,
Yes.
And not only that, but what happens to this guy's competition? Who's paying full price, getting a good deal on it, right? I mean, not gouging like that. He's getting a darn good deal on it. We give a lot of services with ours. We really work hard for our money, right? And then he finds out that his competitor, instead of paying $1,000, he paid $50 for the same service. He comes to me and goes, hey, wait a minute. You gave my competitor, $50. You made me uncompetitive. I want my money back. And all of that would be valid. I mean, that's what happens in the marketplace. So when I say affordable, who makes it affordable? If the government just said, all right, now, industrial health testing, ladies and gentlemen, if you own a company, industrial health testing is now affordable. How do you do that? I mean, it is absolutely impossible. So when I look at the Affordable Health Care Act, the Affordable Care Act, I should say. They don't even mention health in it. They're afraid to say, care. The emphasis is on care because the government cares, That's what they care. Everyone cares so much, and not me.
Right.
I'm a business owner. I'm crude, ruthless. I beat my employees. Surprised they can get to work. They have bloodless in their veins. That's how cruel I am, right?
Right.
And by the way, I've had no turnover for about 15 years. Not one employee. I'm not kidding you. All right, that's how cruel I am because I said if you quit, we're going to come after your family. No, I'm only kidding. I mean, no one quits. We understand the situation. We work as a team, you know. We don't work as the government says that we work. We work honestly and with people, right? And we try to pay them as much as we have. Everything we have goes back to the employees. It doesn't go to me. I make nothing out of this thing. They go, anyway, that's another story. What I'm saying, we make it affordable to everyone. How does the government come in and say, I'm sorry, you are not really making it affordable. Now you have to make it really affordable.
More regulations?
Yeah, they have to regulate it, right? They got to say,
Just what we
okay,
need.
there's regulation 29 CFR, there's 3565.369, all that crap, which we have to comply with. So now what do we do? How do we make that affordable to everybody? Now, people who have not been testing before because they just couldn't afford it, and they hope that they never got caught by the government, OSHA didn't come around and inspect them, right? They go, hey, it's affordable now. They call me, hey, Joe, by the way, we need everybody in our plant tested. Don't worry, test everybody. Money's of no object. The only problem is I can't pay you a dime. But you got to make it affordable. It doesn't make any sense at all. In other words, they will put me out of business very quickly, and then all of a sudden there'll be fewer people doing it. And when there's fewer people performing the service and more people wanting the service, what happens to the price?
Oh.
Sally.
Dead air there.
It goes up. It flies through the roof, right? And this is what happens. Now, when the government says this is the Affordable Care Act, who's making it affordable? How do you make health care affordable?
I think we know.
It's the same situation I have. The doctor, it's got to be affordable now? How do you make it affordable? Once you make it affordable, you increase the supply because people want more of it. I mean, you diminish the supply because there's fewer people doing it, saying, hey, I'm not going to work and not get paid, and I'm not going to wait for the government to give me some minuscule check for what I do. I'll go in the candy store business. I'll open up a convenience store, right? And then everyone comes out of the woodwork and says, oh, I want to have a physical every 6 months. So you increase the demand, you diminish the supply, the price of everything goes right through the roof. Now, how does that make it affordable? How could the government possibly make anything affordable? They can only increase the price. That's the only thing they can do. And what they do is they have this play on words. And we have become we are not suspicious enough of government. We have become so complacent, so gullible. I guess the word is gullible. We have become so gullible. If the government says, this is the Affordable Care Act, we go, oh, that's nice. Now health care is finally affordable. All right, turn up the TV. I want to see who won Dancing with the Stars. That's about it, folks. That's about it. Now, you tell me how you do anything in your business. If anyone out there has a business, or you don't have the business, where you work, how the government comes in and says, all right, now whatever you do is going to be made affordable. You call me and tell me how that's done. If you can do that, man, I'll rescind everything I just said. Everything. So when we talk about the Health Care Act, other than which is a definitive article, is not a word, right? The very first word, people are talking about page 637, Article 5, Addendum 5. I'm saying I can't get past the first word. How can I talk about what's on page 13 when I get canning page? The front of the words. I can't get past the title. I can't get past the first word of the title. And no one wants to think. Now, and I do this only because, not because I'm smart. I mean, these guys that are talking about this, believe me, are smart. I'm just saying, I'm just not smart enough to know that. So when people say, well, health care will finally be affordable. It will be? How? Well, because the government will ensure. Now, listen to this. Listen to this. This is from the government. These are words from the government. Insurance companies no longer have the power. The power to cancel your policy, deny your child coverage because of a pre-existing condition, or charge women more than men. Now first of all, I got a problem. Forget about the affordable. Have the power? Since when do insurance companies have power? What do you say, Sally?
Yes, they do have power, but it's not like the government's power.
No, it's not. You're using that word.
Yeah.
Let me say something. You're using that word, but you really don't mean that word. They don't have any power. When you sign up for health care, there's an agreement, a contract that's about 45 pages long, and it tells you what's covered and what is not.
Right.
And you agree to it, and you pay your $785 a month, whatever one you have, and you pay your money every month. I wish. Believe me, I pay more than that myself. All right. So you have this policy, right? And
Right.
they don't have any power over you. You agree to it. There's no power. What power means is the right to rule, and it implies a possession to an ability to wield force upon you. That's the definition of power. I mean, a monarch has power. Their troops can come into a town and kill everybody. That's power. Insurance companies have no power. Now,
Right.
And
I think that's how you feel.
yeah, you feel powerless.
Powerless.
Absolutely.
When you call and ask,
Yeah.
why is this not covered?
Right.
I thought I was covered.
And let me tell you why we feel powerless is because the government gets involved, and there's very few things that can be covered, economically for an insurance company. Let me give you an example. There are a few things they say. Let's say, deny your child coverage because of a pre-existing condition. Now, wait a minute. Now that that's gone, I have little Johnny here with a pre-existing condition. I can't get insurance because insurance means as soon as I get the insurance, he needs a $30,000 operation, and I pay my $500, and in exchange for $500, they pay me back $30,000 in month one. Now, what person would go into that business?
Exactly.
I mean, it seems unfair, but it's reasonable when you look at it. When you really start looking at it, it's not this highfalutin, oh, we got to help all the children. Forget about that. How do you do that? How do you make that affordable? So all we have here now is people are going to have all the people come out of the woodwork, plus, by the way, 30% of what is being charged is going to be fraud. I can guarantee a minimum 30% of the hundreds of billions, 30. And what is fraud alone will more than cover all the legitimate health care in the United States if done on a private basis. All of it. But that's another story.
Well, they're working on the fraud part now.
Oh, yeah, I know. What they're doing is they're allocating money towards fighting fraud. So they're already anticipating that they're going to need all this money to fight fraud. It's like Social Security, and people getting it. That's another story. My point being is that how do you, if with this act, you have a sick child, are you going to pay into insurance? No. And what you're paying is going to be minimal, right? And then he has a pre-existing condition. Then they come in and who's going to pay for that? You paid in $200 that year. You got back $30,000. And there's tons of people doing this that weren't eligible before. Now, what are you going to do? And who's going to pay for this?
Help.
Yeah, help. Nobody thinks, who's going to pay for it? Well, collectively, all the people, and we're going to go on a break because I need a cup of coffee to cool down. Let's go on a break.
Well, actually, Sally, Joe is still chewing on the microphone. We do want to hear your comments, so give us a call at it's toll free, at 1-855-866-1170. Give us a call. Also, don't forget, sometimes we just run out of time to get all our callers in. We would love to hear your comments on our website, comments at libertytalkradio.com. Comments at libertytalkradio.com. And the phone number right now to call, 1-855-866-1170. Joe, are you still chewing on the microphone? Do you have other thoughts or additional thoughts?
I'm going to work on my second microphone.
Okay.
Yeah. No, my only point is that this program is about us. It ain't about, some conservative, a neocon, or super liberal. It's about us as people. I have affiliation with nothing, all right? I'm a free person, and that's what I subscribe to. If I have any affiliation, it's probably with the libertarians, because what they say, everyone is free to do whatever they want, provided they do not infringe upon the equal rights of others. That's where I am. You want to call it libertarianism, you want to call it zoology, I don't care what you call it. That's all I know. But I'm talking about us. We're talking about us. This is what this program is, right? And what we need to do is examine how we think about liberty. It's about us and how we think about liberty. I want everyone to shed all this thing. I'm a progressive and I understand and I vote Democrat. Forget all that crap. Could we just talk honestly? Every time I speak to someone, the first thing they bring up is their political association, who they voted for. I don't care. I don't care if they vote for, they write Mussolini's name in. I don't care who they voted for. But could we have a conversation? And we don't have conversations. And it's a real problem. This station has to be the stalwart for all of that conversation. Because it's the only one that I know of its type. I listen to plenty of radio stations. None of them are this open. None that I know of, Sally. And we have to lead the bed. And everyone has got to get everyone. I don't care if your friends are where they come from, radical, communist. Get them on the program. Get them to listen so we can all march together and solve the problems of this nation. If we don't do it, we're sunk, folks. And we're going down quick. You want to know, I get excited? I get excited for a reason. We got a call, and it's from, okay, let's see. Where am I?
Telephone.
Okay.
Telephone. Remember we had so much trouble last week trying to.
Which is that line two? Okay. Oh, Paul, is that you?
Hi, Paul.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Little disoriented. Joe's trying to collect his brains after his rant just now, but what's on your mind?
Probably is the most important thing. So.
Exactly.
Paul, thank you for calling in. Actually, I asked Paul to call in because one of his common sense articles, which he does every day of the week, and I read 90% of them. Whenever I get a chance, I read them. They're very insightful, and they keep me honest in my thinking. And he wrote an excellent quip on the healthcare, and I said, would you call in and just repeat that for our listeners? Paul, take it away.
Well, the healthcare decision, what disturbs me most about it is that they're playing word games. And, we recognize, those of us who fought politically for a while, we recognize that, the Constitution is words, and it can be interpreted in different ways. But this Obamacare decision, Justice Roberts' opinion, if you read it, he explains that it's not a tax at one point, and later it is a tax because under one provision, you can't challenge a tax until you've paid it. And, of course, the taxes don't kick in right away with Obamacare. That's one of the little stealth features. But so they ruled that it wasn't a tax so that they could go ahead and litigate it, and then they come back and say it is a tax. And there's been all kinds of discussion about whether it's a penalty or a tax. But in the decision, if you go read it, and if you go to thisiscommonsense.com, you can find my commentary entitled Supreme Oxymorons, and there's a link right there to the decision. But if you read it, it's sad because it shows what kind of word games are being played with our Constitution. And I think most folks who have been involved in politics realize that we get ripped off and screwed around all the time by politicians. I think the judiciary is, for the most part, better, but they do the same thing. And ultimately, what we are defended by is not the words in the Constitution. And frankly, as much as I believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm glad we have weapons, none of us want to shoot it out with Uncle Sam or anyone else for that matter. What we're really defended by are each other and our commitment to play by the rules and to have an orderly democratic republic where we have fair play. And what that means, I think, dovetails off of what you were just talking about, Joe. We have to get together. I'm not talking about the politicians in Congress getting together. I have no hope of that.
Right.
And in fact, most of the times when they get together, it gets even worse than when they're not together.
Correct.
But we as individuals have to start discussing and getting together and playing by the rules and making sure that we protect processes where anybody can run for office and anybody can stand up and say their opinion. And every state and city and county has a process where citizens can petition to put an idea on the ballot. Those are the kind of things that we ought to all rally around, whether we're on the right, left, or anywhere in between.
Right. Paul, it's a shame that we can't look at this realistically We have to look at this from a belief system where I believe the Democrats are good and the Republicans are bad, or whatever the case may be. And I'm not giving one side right and one side wrong at all. But when I hear people talk about it, they talk about politics. They don't talk about the essence of it. You know, the question I always ask is that, did Obama ever read this thousands of page monstrosity? And everyone will admit, no, he didn't. I said, well, if he didn't read it, how could he go out campaigning for it? I said, if I gave you a 1,000-page contract and say, by the way, sign your name to that, would you do that? Go, heck no, I wouldn't do that. I said, well, why would you do the same thing with health care? And they can't answer the question.
And it's not just health care. They don't read 99% of what they vote on. And that's not just true in Congress. It's true in most state legislatures. We are ruled by folks who don't know what they're doing. And I'm a big believer, as you know, Joe, in the citizen initiative process. And sometimes they say, well, do the voters know what they're voting on?
Yeah, Paul, I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. We have to stop for break. We have to stop for break now. Paul, I'm sorry, I got to cut you. We want to hold on, or you want to hold on? We can hold you for a while.
Joe.
Okay, you want to hold?
Sure.
Okay, very good. Let's go to break. So Paul had to leave. He may call back later on, but let's pick up another caller right now. Caller, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Joe. I just had a comment about the healthcare payment options that we have.
Yes, you're coming in very raspy. I'm not sure if it's on our end or yours.
Can you hear me better now?
A little bit better, right? Thank you.
Okay, no problem. I was just calling because I think the American people are being presented with two false choices on how to pay for their health care. The current way that we pay is through a third-party payment system, insurance, which is what's driving the cost up, really.
Right.
It's just like, your car insurance drives costs up.
That's right.
For body work and stuff. And the other choice that we are being presented with is, Obamacare, where the government pays for us. And we all put it into a pool of money. But it's still a third-party payment.
That's correct.
It's just the difference is the government running it or, is a private insurance running it. And actually what we really need, if you want a free market, is where people pay out of their own pocket.
Absolutely. I can give you 50 examples right off the bat. I'll just give you one. I went to a doctor that I did not like. He asked me to come to see him, and I had no dealings with him, actually. He just said to come back. And I came back, and I said, I'm not sure why I'm here. He said, I'm just following up. I said, well, we've decided, Muslim's going to have the operation and everything's the same. He says, okay. And he gave me some paper. It was 3 minutes. And he was nasty, by the way, $181.50. Now, I didn't know who to protest to. I had no idea. I didn't know if it was the insurance company. I didn't know the Medicare. I mean, what do you call the government? And now, if that was one-on-one, I would have said, Doc, why don't you take this piece of paper and shove it up your nose? Would have saved the taxpayers $181. Hey, John, thank you very much for calling in. We're going to take another call, okay? Thank you for holding. Appreciate it very much. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, I want to ask you a question. I don't know if you know the answer to, but free insurance. Do you know when the insurance started, what year that was?
I'm sorry, what type of insurance?
In other words, the insurance period, health care insurance. In other words, way back in the Western days, at some point in time, there was no health care insurance. People took care of each other.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Right.
And so here's my question. It may sound cold-hearted, but to me, we overcomplicate it. It's real simple. Why are we responsible for anybody's health care except our own?
You're absolutely correct. The health care would be a fraction of what, not a little less, a fraction of what it is today if it was in the free enterprise system. And I hate when people say, you mean the capitalistic system? No, in the free enterprise system.
Yeah. And I'm not going religious on you on this because I know you want to steer, but I want to make a point from kind of that perspective, not Bible, not religious. But here's the point. Way back in those days, family, friends, ranchers, churches, different people, if someone had a problem, there was more morality in the sense of sticking together for your friends and neighbors, and you helped one another out. And now what we've got is, oh, government, I bow down to you. Oh, my Savior, I need you. And then people won't get off their butt and go to work and get a job. I'm not talking about the ones that can't. And then here's the other thing. In every other field that you can think of, if I want a new set of tires for my vehicle, I can shop around. I can get 20,000-mile tires, 40,000, 60 miles. I can get Michelin. I can get this, and I can pay all kind of prices. Why, if I need an appendectomy, why can't I check the doctors, see what their prices are, what the hospitals charge,
Absolutely.
and see what they're, in other words, if I get one doctor and 99% of his patients die, I don't want to go to him. You know what I mean? But the whole
Right.
thing, if you put competition
Good
in,
choice.
if you put competition in and you made it simple and said, you know what? And then here's the thing: if you got somebody and they're anorexic and not going to eat, you're going to die. If you got somebody that's going to weigh 500 pounds and they want to choose to be free and live that way, you're going to get diabetes and all this kind of stuff.
That's right.
So I say put a plan that I would allow the government to do this so that society doesn't have to be responsible. When you die, you've got to have some kind of coverage to cremate you or bury you so the society doesn't have to pay for it. And if you choose to let yourself die, have at it. But otherwise, why should I pay for it?
Right. And,
And I
we always
guarantee-
throw you off a cliff, that'll be the cheapest way to go,
But if hospitals had to compete, then aspirins wouldn't be $60. And the thing about the government
Absolutely.
officials, here's the whole thing. They don't care because they're about power and dictatorship
That's
and
right.
domination and
Right.
monarchy and tyranny and the whole 9 yards. And what's going to happen at some point in time, and I'm not saying, we're going to have a big fight and all this, but you know what? They're not our savior. And when the dummies and the ignorant people out there figure out that they're not their savior, then they're going to have to start looking to each other and a higher power and they say, you know what? I'm better off doing it that way than trusting the government.
Right. All right, Kate. Hey, thanks a lot for calling in. I'll see you in Ecuador, okay? Okay.
buddy.
You take care. Thanks you for
All right.
listening to Liberty
You're a
Talk
good
Radio.
guy.
All right. Thank you. We look at these people like, oh, they're so smart. I'm not smart. My mother used to say that. She says, oh, I'm not smart. My mother was brilliant. She wasn't schooled. She was brilliant. She'd say, Victor, if people would only stay home and mind their own business, the world would be a better place. How smarter could you get than that?
Common sense.
Oh, what, Hillary Clinton slaughtered my mother, causing trouble all over the world? Come on, And listen, this is what drives me nuts. One of the heads, the third highest power in government is the Speaker of the House. When Nancy Pelosi was the Speaker of the House, this is number 3 slot. I mean, of the
That's
thousands
right.
of millions of people, right? Number 3 slot. She said if this health care first came up, she said, we have to pass the Health Care Act so we can see what's in it. Now, at that point, it should not have been
What?
nanoseconds. She should have been taken off stage. She should have been escorted to an insane asylum, taken away all her rights, all her pensions, everything that she's ever earned, put her away forever, for psychiatric counseling, and then replaced her. But no one said a word.
Wow.
No one said a word. Could you imagine? We have to pass away. Well, you get the stupid thing. Why don't you read it? I mean, and they say these, and we sit there because we're so complacent. We just mesmerized by governments. We go, well, I guess we got to pass it, in order, in order to see what's in it. I got to find what's in it first. I got to pass it. We become dumb. We are a dumbed down nation. And I don't know. I don't know where we're going. We're not going in the right
not.
direction.
We're not dumbed down.
Yeah, I do.
You, me, our listeners, no. Because we're going to do something about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bring out the bravery in people.
I like that.
I think so. We don't have to be Democrats. We don't have to be Republicans. We want common sense. We want truth from the government. And we're going to do something about it.
Okay. You'll help me do that, right, Sally?
I'll help you.
You'll
I'll
carry
help
the flag
anybody.
with me. Okay. Did we get some emails? You got an email that you want to read?
No. No, actually.
I need a new co-host. Anybody?
I got it.
Send your name. Your name, address.
Sorry, let's see. No, we did get several emails. I just want to remind people to email us at comments@libertytalkradio.com so that we can put that on, so we can talk about these things. But right now, call us at 1-855-866-1170. Did you get that? I'll say it again. It's toll free. 855-866-1170. And I said that in my best Arkansas accent. 855-866-1170. And don't forget, comments at libertytalkradio.com.
And this whole thing is a word game. They use words like affordable, power. I have no power. I have no power to do anything, but they use those words selectively, And it's mind conditioning. And they do it over and over. And then what we do is we all placidly sit on the couch, watch our flat screen TVs, and we stare at them, and it's a form of indoctrination. We're just being indoctrinated. We're not learning anything. We're not thinking. They did a test. Scientists did a test, and they put these probes or something on the brain, and when people were watching television, they did the same thing when people were listening to the radio, and then when people were reading and something else, and I think doing a certain activity. When people were watching television, I mean, literally, the brain function was nil. Just literally died altogether. When they listened to the when they listened to the radio, bingo, it went all the way up.
Wow.
Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello, Kelly, you're on the air.
Yeah. I was listening to you guys, and when they were passing this bill, when Pelosi and her big fat mouth said we had to pass this.
But how do you really feel?
You really want to know how I feel?
Yes.
Well, we may get beeped out. You know that, Kelly. We don't want to get beeped out.
He is the enemy within. And, I don't care what anybody wants to say. He is the enemy within.
That's right.
And you got to be blind or totally ignorant and stupid not to see that this man does not give a damn about the babies in the trailer park or the babies in the hood. He could care less.
You bet.
He could care less. And I wish these people would just understand it is about not only my generation, my children's generation, it's my grandbabies
That's right.
and their children. They don't give a dang. I got to watch what I say here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't like none of them.
Okay. Well, Kelly, we're all on the same page, and I'm glad that you refrained. You controlled yourself enough so we didn't get thrown off the air, and the FCC is not going to be on my back and take a license away. So appreciate that.
If they want to. I have no problem with that.
Okay. Hey, listen. The way you can help this whole movement,
With what I have to say.
Kelly, the way you can help this whole movement is get people to listen to Liberty Talk Radio because, we're not catering to any particular party. We just want people to think. We want to get together as a community. We want to be America again. We don't want to be Democrats or Republicans. We want to be Americans. Americans like we were 100 years ago.
Here, here.
Amen,
Okay.
brother.
All right.
All
Okay.
right.
Kelly, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Wow. I like what you had to say. Oh, we lost another caller. I don't know. Callers come in and callers come out. They don't have much staying power, do they? Maybe they don't like what I say. All right, Sally, what else do we have today?
This past week, I watched the news, and really the big thing still is Obamacare, talking about that. What got me, though, Joe, I just wanted to know how you felt about it, is they didn't really talk so much about the issues, the words, anything like that. They talked about, well, gee, how is this going to affect the presidential election? Really? Really? Come on. What do you think?
Well, yeah, exactly. It has nothing to do with affordability. It has nothing to do with children with pre-existing conditions. It has everything to do with, am I going to get elected? Now, listen, if
Right.
Obama never read the whole act, I mean, let's be honest, he never read it. If he never read it, he really doesn't know what's in it. They can say he summarized it. Well, you summarize this and you have all these clauses, you don't really know what is in it, right? Then you say, why did he sign it? Well, you can surmise he signed it because there were big, big bucks behind it. And the big, big bucks, I tell you, let me be honest with you, this I can say truthfully, in fact, may God strike you dead, Sally, if I'm lying.
Yikes.
But I'll tell you this, one thing, I didn't get a penny out of that, all right? But I can guarantee you, mega millions somehow are going to him. Mega millions, folks. So when you look at this guy, you're looking at guys making mega millions off of everyone else is suffering, and never read the thing in the first place. And boy, that just grabs me. And no one recognizes that because it's all political. It's all money. He didn't read it. He got money. That's why he passed it. What if all of his campaign contributors said, if you approved the Affordable Care Act, we're not gonna contribute to a campaign anymore. What do you think would happen? I mean, on a dime, he'd say, we found Senator so-and-so brought up something, and we have to, it would come out as a stall, as an absolute stall. We would never see the stupid thing. Let's take another caller. Caller, you're on the air. Is that Alan? Nope. Alan, are you on the air?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go for it.
Nobody seems to understand what's in the bill. Ask the person who wrote the darn thing.
Oh, guess who wrote it?
Probably Pelosi.
Oh, yeah. She sat down while watching Dancing with the Stars, and I think she wrote only 904 pages of it. So, now no one really knows who wrote it, but who is the only people capable of writing it?
Attorneys that work for the Democratic Party.
Oh, no. The attorneys, they're dumb. They're dumber than me. No, the attorneys don't. They just know the first part of the second part, and they can't even figure that out. The insurance companies, what I call the medical industrial complex. We talk about the military industrial complex and how it's destroying America. We have the military industrial complex destroying America on one side. We have the medical industrial complex on the other side. And guess what, Alan? You and me are in the middle.
That's right.
We're getting squeezed.
That's right.
And we don't talk about the medical industrial and it has nothing to do with the doctors, the nurses, all the people who would provide the care directly. Nothing. All the people who don't provide anything, provide nothing, those are the ones that are going to make a fortune, and everyone's going to suffer.
It's all about money and power, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going to take a break. Alan, thank you very much for calling. We're going to take a break right now.
Thanks, Alan.
Folks, the government plays with words constantly. In fact, I was having coffee with my agent this morning. He didn't even pay for it, by the way, between you and me. But that's another story. And he picks up the newspaper. I think it was a Wall Street Journal. And it says one of the subheadlines is Afghan air war may be cut off as U.S. pulls out. And then it says, first line, it says, death stopped. Abdul Akwum, a Taliban commander in Afghanistan Zabul conference in a firing flash and roar. Death stopped. Death stopped. Death showed up, by the way. I don't know if it was Mr. or Mrs. Death showed up and just stopped the poor guy.
Stop.
No, they didn't say they dropped a bomb on the village and it killed him. No. And probably 50 other people around him. They said death stopped him. Well, what else would stop you? Let's see.
That'll do it.
Hot dogs. I don't know. Could a hot dog stop you? I know if my wife found me in bed with another woman, that would stop me. No, that would be death again. I said, we use word. We have to use these stupid words. We manipulate, and we listen. We go, oh, yes, well, the death stopped this guy. We're doing our job. Good old America, we're fighting for freedom. And we keep on saying this stupid thing. We're fighting for freedom. What freedom? Show me the freedom. Show me what? What is that? Show me the meat. Where's the meat, right? Where's the meat?
Beef?
Where's the freedom?
Where's the beef?
Where is it? Now, 100 years ago, we had a lot of freedom. Not anymore. With hundreds of thousands of pages, millions of words of regulations added, every year to everything we do. We got to protect our freedom. No, if anything, we should take our troops home, and our troops should be marching against Washington. How about that? Let's do that. Let's get our troops to march against Washington, And then I can say, why are they doing that? Why are you advocating that? I said, because they're fighting for our freedom. Okay. All right. Are you with me on that one? Listen, is the world out there, is Radio Land, are you with me on that? If you are, please send us your comments to comments@libertytalkradio.com. We still have a few minutes. So if someone wants to give us an extra call, 855-866-1170. Let me hear from you. This is Joe Cristiano. You are listening to Liberty Talk Radio. We have to watch our words. We have to watch when we say freedom and what that means. No one knows what that means. Let's take a call. Caller, you're on the air. Nope.
No caller?
Caller, you're on the air. He's still there, but he's not.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me
Caller,
now?
line one. Just move on.
Okay.
The caller jumped off a cliff. He couldn't take it anymore. He was in
Poor
a good
guy.
mood before he listened to this program. He was in a great mood. He was good. I mean, the guy was ready. You know, he wanted to get married, have kids. And after listening to this program, he just went off a cliff. He just decided to end it all. I don't blame him. You know, when I told this guy about the last call, I said, I want to go to Ecuador, see you in Ecuador. You know, I mean that. You know how many people in America now are going to places like Ecuador? I'll tell you where I want to go. I want to go to Chile. I
Why
want to go to
Chile?
the southern part of Chile. Just think. There's a railroad called a railroad at the end of the earth, and it's right north of the Antarctica. You know,
Wow.
in fact, someone went down there and actually got me a hat. I love this hat. And what I like about Chile, it's a very, very narrow nation between Argentina or the Andes Mountains on one side and the Pacific Pond on the other. You know, no one bothers them. And I understand that Argentina doesn't even have an army anymore. So there's no wars, you know. Now, it's not the most stable country in the world, but I know guys who live down there. In fact, they listen to my program. They send me pictures and stuff like that. They say, Joe, you got to come down here. They said the government owns about everything, but we don't care because we're free to do everything else we want, you know? And they showed me pictures of people at night. They're getting together. They eat, big families in the street, you know, the festivals. And every night they do this, you know? He says, it's a poor place, he says, but it's a great place to live. It's richer than you would ever be in the United States.
Wow.
And you have to worry about someone, the Taliban in Chile. You don't have to worry about anything. You can't get down there. And it's that far away from everything. And the weather is fabulous. And then you have the Pacific Pond to go fishing and swimming and all that. And,
Wow.
he says, we have public
Nice.
transportation that's great, and it's all free. He said, that's why it's government controlled. He says he goes everywhere. He gets a $4,000 check from the government, you know, from his retirement, from his company. And he says, I live like a king. He says, I'm wealthy there. I'm absolutely wealthy. And he says, I live in a shack. He said, I literally live in a shed or so a shack. And he showed me the place. It's unbelievable. And he says, but I don't need anything. He says, it's great. The weather's great and all. Anyway, but, you know,
Sounds
we have to
nice.
learn here in America, right here in America, that, you know, it's not the physical possessions that we have, you know. It's how we relate to one another. We are a society. And the society is breaking down because the government is bifurcating all of us. In other words, they're making have-nots, people get, people who have to give. And that they continue to divide America. And it's deliberate because if you continue to divide society, they can never uprise against you. They can never vote against you. That's why we have Republicans and Democrats. It's deliberate. It bifurcates America. So you get the Republicans saying the Republicans are wrong, the Democrats say the Republicans are wrong, and nothing ever gets done, and Washington gets bigger and richer and richer and richer and richer. And it looks like, Sally, this is the end of tonight's program. I hope you enjoyed
I'm
yourself.
exhausted. Thank you.
Folks, you know, you send us your comments to comments@libertytalkradio.com. Let me hear from you. And 855-866-1170, but that's for next week.
Tune in.